I'm gonna get started here. I just clicked record. So, hey everybody, it's Paul Dojcinovic from eXp Realty and Best Calgary Real Estate Deals. I'm a local brand sponsor and ambassador here at Parkbench for a lot of our local communities here in Calgary. We're talking to Ibrahim Karaibrahimovic. He's a home inspector at NIR Real Estate Inspections Incorporated. I've been working with him for a few years now. Hey Ibrahim, how's it going?
Good. How you doing today, Paul?
We'll call you, is it IB?
Just IB for short, yeah.
IB for short, sweet. How do you like my background? I didn't want to show you my bench press behind me. I got a bench press behind me.
Looks very, very commercial. Looks very good.
Nice. I had to do a partition wall to separate some of the basement, so it's not a man cave anymore. And my wife does microblading, so she has a home-based business, and I gave her a little bit of space. So I'm technically in a basement home office right now, and I have like a gym bench press behind me. So
multifunctional, awesome.
Yeah. So the whole purpose of today's interview is I want to talk to some of these local businesses that are servicing the community. Me and my partner Andy Lam, we have an initiative to support local, and we want to make sure that people are staying connected while remaining socially distant. Today a couple of the questions we're going to ask are going to be, how are you performing in this current market? Has it changed in the past, from the past, and like, what are you doing today that you didn't do before? What kind of added value are you still providing to your clients this day and age, et cetera? So, let's start off with describing, a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. So,
well, I'm a native from Calgary since 1973, so I have seen it through its growth cycles, downs and up cycles too, as well as the real estate side too, as well. So I got a start of renovations back in 1988 is when I initially got my forte into real estate. I did a couple of flips and, did some renovations also on the side too, as well. So that actually parlayed into my home inspection business that I started up 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. The reason why I actually started was my home was actually inspected, and the report I got was actually quite dismal in comparison to the amount of issues that actually did show up after when I took possession of the place.
Yeah.
So I strive on giving a extremely detailed home inspection at really good prices, and have at least a good 30 years experience in buying, flipping homes, and doing renovations also on the side, so people feel assured that I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I can attest to that because, usually I'll tell the one story of the one client that bought up in Crossfield. They bought a brand new home, and usually people assume that a brand new home passed all the inspections, right, through city inspections, municipal inspections, etc. And do you remember that home up in Crossfield when I think it was mid-February last year? It was minus 20 or 30 outside. There's snow drifts everywhere because it's a brand new community. And we went over there, and we didn't notice it until we got up to upstairs because the heat was cranked. But we went upstairs and we saw some signs of, something that wasn't right. And then you verify that with those cameras that you have behind you, those infrared thermal imaging cameras, that there was like, it shows the hot and cold, and blue on an infrared camera would be cold. And essentially you looked at the roof line or the ceiling in the upper floor. Yeah. And everything was blue. You're like, hold up, this is weird. And then you asked me to come upstairs. I went and looked as well. I'm like, well, that's not good. Like, can it be true? Like, are they missing insulation? And you popped yourself in the attic and you said, yep, there's no insulation upstairs in the attic. And my clients, the scary thing was my clients were buying this sort of sight unseen. I did a Facebook Live video for them. We toured the property. I think I did 2 or 3 videos for them because they were relocating from Vancouver to Calgary or to the Calgary region. So, I wanted to make sure that my clients, were going to be satisfied with the property, and that they were going to, as if I was selling it to a family member, or if I was buying it, I wanted to make sure that they were going to be satisfied just as if I was. So I could definitely attest to IB's home inspections, and even on brand new homes that, there is an opportunity to inspect the quality of construction on a brand new home. So thanks for doing that for me. And I think the clients are still going to be using you in the future. So
awesome. Yeah. Quality first, right? Never rush anything, right?
Yeah. Now tell me, I guess a side note, what are some of the craziest things you've seen lately on a home inspection report? Give it new house, old house, whatever. Have you seen something that kind of shocked you in the last year or 6 years of your career? Like, what are some of the biggest shockers that you've seen?
Well, I think it actually has to go around more around infills, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is um, the lack of quality or understanding on, say, per se, um, grading, landscaping, or even flashing, or using the right amount of covering, cladding in certain areas around decks and stuff like that. So I recently did one just last year that was it was about 1.7 million brand new infill in a very respectable area in Calgary. And I did point out to the back portion that in the huge deck that they had cladded a horizontal beam that actually was showing signs of moisture damage. So I pointed that in the report and wanted the builder actually to come back actually and take off that cladding.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, when the cladding was taken off, there was extensive damage, water damage of the entire support beam underneath that needed to be removed, in addition to the vertical beams too as well.
Was there a walkout underneath?
There was a walkout also too as well underneath. Yeah.
So that could have been dangerous. I remember there's one property I showed up in Edgemont, and Edgemont, of course, is on a hill, and they had that like a waterproof membrane on the deck, deck membrane, yeah.
Yep.
And I think water somehow got in between a seam and rotted the wood underneath. And literally, this older lady might have been 150 pounds or less, or maybe less, 120 pounds, right? She wasn't that heavy, but as soon as she stepped on it, I don't know if she was wearing a heel or with a little heel, she punctured the hole, and her whole leg went right through. She almost fell to the second to the walkout. She was on a second level, like the main level, which was on a walkout, and she almost fell through to the walkout cement underneath. I had to catch her, and then the husband was throwing a joke on me that I groped her. It was kind of funny. I'm like, I just saved her life. He's like, oh, maybe you should have let her go. I'm like, I can't believe you said that. Anyways, in our line of work, we always deal with some funny clients, but
Absolutely. And you just pointed out something basic, that even those smaller items actually that go unnoticed, that might be even, say, defects of installation,
Yep.
or over time missing those things, can percolate into a lot of bigger issues that can affect structural, framing, electrical, all those type of things can be damaged in the process, causing, injury, and of course, safety precautions too as well.
Nice. Well, tell me, we're going to ask a couple more questions. Tell me what motivates you on a daily basis. Like, what makes you, and this is something that I think a lot of people need to kind of do a little bit of self-realization. I know we're all cooped up in our homes these days, trying to, stay safe and listening to the health guidelines and restrictions out there. But I mean, what motivates you on a daily basis? What does your daily routine look like? How do you start your day?
Well, with everything being COVID around these days, I do start my day with around my kids too as well, making sure they have something to eat in the morning, and doing the schooling also too online. Apart from that, I do, motivate myself to, of course, check out what's happening on the market, see what's actually selling.
I'm just drinking my espresso. Cheers.
Yep. Basically, it goes around everything that I pretty much typically do, but more along the actual, home itself, my office right now. So I'm looking at my website, tracking the visitors, looking at my website content, adjusting that, looking at classes too as well, and also, at the same time too, how can I offer a better service?
Yeah.
Pretty much all the inspectors are pretty much the same thing. However, I think my service does go a little bit further and beyond that. We're offering some warranties, recall check, home binder, complimentary also walkthrough service. It touches on everything from the initial to the actual last handshake, so the client is comfortable with his purchase.
A couple things you said there, I was just going to be, making it announced that I think the handshakes are pretty much done these days.
True enough.
So I think we're going to have to figure out a new dance. I've seen people doing this leg dance where they're tapping their feet, and colo and folk dancing, and I don't know what else.
Right, we could do our own there. Yes.
Yeah, but you know what? I think there, you know, everyone's trying to be a little bit different, right? So I know you said a lot of home inspectors are the same. They might have some similar designations, but I don't think they are the same. I think through my experience of 14, 15 years being in the industry selling real estate, you know, I've had some really good home inspectors, and I've had some bad ones that I just that I don't use anymore, right? So and there's reasons behind it. Like maybe something was missed, or maybe there was just unprofessionalism, or maybe it was a consistent thing that didn't work out for my clients. So I appreciate everything that you do, and I think that's why we've built a relationship with each other. And you know, I do believe that if I'm trying to do the best for my clients, I want to align myself with the same type of business professionals that want to do the best for their clients, or you know, if we're working together to represent the same client, I want the same sort of experience that I would be able to provide as well. So I do appreciate everything that you do for my clients. So thank you.
Yeah, one thing if I can also add to as well, I think something that elevates my service is you and I have pretty much the same background. So one thing I do like to also emphasize is people that are coming in from those Baltic countries or from Europe too as well. I like to be able to say that I also do offer the service also in Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, also in Russian too as well, and looking to tap into the Latin and also the German side too as well, to be multilingual too as well.
Are you gonna have to create your service contracts in all those different languages then?
Yeah, well, the clients love actually being able to speak in their own language and have a better sense of ease too as well as they're going through the you know, the findings.
For sure, for sure. I got a couple more questions, and I won't take up the rest of your day because I know you're probably busy. What are some of the odd requests that you've had from clients? Have you had any odd requests? If you could think of like a few off the top of your head.
I guess one of the ones that would be interesting is I had to go into a vaulted ceiling to validate some insulation actually that was missing. So the space that was actually, it was a home that was over 100 years old also. So trying to manage my circumference of my body into that small attic opening was quite difficult. But I managed to basically get half my body through and be able to look at the areas that did validate with my thermal camera. So that was a bit of a difficult issue, as well as some of the newer homes that have the attic spaces above the washer or the dryer in those areas. So those are always a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. I could kind of see, I had a mental picture of, you know, that's like us trying to go down a water slide these days, right? It's like, yeah, sure, why not? As long as I don't get stuck, you know. My kids want me to go on the slides with them on playgrounds and stuff, and it's still, I got a 7 and 3-year-old, so it's still kind of fun to do sometimes. But at the same time, it's like, you know, the bigger you are, the harder you fall, and you know, like those playgrounds with the fire poles, kind of like the fire poles that you're supposed to go down. I don't think I do that anymore, just because of my weight and grip, and you know, I could probably do it, but I'm just thinking like, okay, well, let me see, how did I do this back in the day, like 25, 30 years ago?
The ones that actually get me are the ones that you got those tunnels you go through on those slides.
Yeah.
Those are a bit scary for me too as well.
All right, a couple more questions. So let me ask you this. What are your current challenges, and is there any way that I can help you with those challenges right now?
I think the challenges themselves are pretty much a facet of what our society's facing right with the COVID stuff, 19, right? Everyone should understand that we do our best. I am still open for business 7 days a week too as well, even the longer days too as well. I mean, I am open also for evening appointments too as well. I do take all precautions. I am fully equipped with all respirator, cleaning utensils too as well. I do clean my equipment after each inspection and also before each inspection too as well. All items or surfaces that are touched are also cleaned and sanitized before I do make the, you know, finish off with the report. I think the biggest thing is getting people to understand, even in these difficult times, there are some great deals out there. The industry still is moving along, and there's some great buys to be also found out there. So I think people need to just understand there are some different limitations, but we have to work around them. You still get the detailed report, and I'm also available too as well for a chat through FaceTime or also through the phone to discover any of these questions that the clients might have still lingering at that time, right?
Sure. I mean, the way that we used to do business is slightly changed, right? And me being at eXp Realty for the last 7 months, actually 8 months now. So it's going on, yeah, it's 7, 8 months now. So anyways, me being at eXp, this virtual cloud office, they were already sort of built in this environment, right? So being, typically working from a laptop from anywhere, I have access to about 12 different satellite offices here in Calgary, but they're not eXp offices. eXp has a partnership with Regis, and Regis has a bunch of offices in Calgary that if I had to meet a client at an office, I can meet them there. I can meet them at a coffee shop, or we could do a virtual meeting like we're doing now. So I was already very familiar with Zoom and how this, the next sort of stage of like technology and leveraging technology for these types of meetings and interviews and client interviews, buyer interviews, seller interviews. I mean, there's still that demand of being in person. So I guess from a real estate standpoint, I know that I have to still show properties, and I just take those same precautions like you mentioned, wearing gloves and masks, and we try not to touch anything. If anyone's touching anything, it's me, so the clients don't have to get their hands dirty, and we're limiting sort of exposure. But on your side of things, I remember clients would typically want to be there when the home inspection is happening. Is that still the case, or are you doing the home inspection on your own, getting it done a little bit sooner? And then also spending a little bit of extra time explaining the report to the client. Are you doing anything like that over FaceTime or Zoom or leveraging technology?
I think most of the inspections that should be happening today, anyways, with mine, are vacant houses.
Okay.
It does make the process a lot quicker, of course.
Vacant houses, you mean nobody's there except for you, essentially. Somebody will let you in, you would do your home inspection, but you're not talking about vacant, like empty houses, no furniture, right?
I think I'm actually talking about both there in the same sentence. So either the home is actually totally empty, so it's been vacant for some time, or also in the same respect that the house is actually no one is there. Or if the client does attend, I do like to practice the safe distancing, and also in addition to that, have them on a different floor while I'm actually inspecting one section. And to complete that section, we switch. So it gives the client still the same capability to view the house and continue on that, on that same respect there for getting the inspection done.
Nice. Okay, well, I appreciate everything, you taking the time to answer some of these questions. Do you have any suggestions for any of the other local businesses? Because the whole initiative here is trying to help local businesses, survive this pandemic and, the economic situation and the factors that are impacting them today. Do you have any suggestions from your perspective on how these businesses might be able to proceed moving forward?
A lot of the businesses that we normally deal with or engage with are typically in a lot of larger areas that we go through a door and buy a service or something like that. With that being said, I've seen a lot of bigger companies too as well, making those adjustments, putting those screens up, the plexiglass screens, also doing online orders, people actually delivering things like that. So there are some adjustments being made to those businesses to keep going, to keep that income going, and keep also the employees employed, right? I think we also have to dig deep here to put a spin on businesses these days and not see it in the same light as we did before. Because in this epidemic here, it is a challenging time. And with that being said, we have to look outside the box. What can we actually do different here? How can I engage the client? And how can I also keep my business running, keep food on the table? This is a great tool we have. Internet's awesome. And it's just only one of the aspects we can actually look at too as well. I think we have to, again, say, dig deep, look forward, and look at all facets while being safe as well too for ourselves and for our clients. I think that's the best approach.
I agree. I agree. Okay, well, thank you very much for the interview, IB. So what I was going to say one more thing is if anyone's interested in talking to Ibrahim about his home inspection service, he's offering a 10% coupon. For anyone that's used the service, you're also going to get that 10% if you leave a review. New customers also get 10% off. So Ibrahim, how can they reach you? What's the best way to reach you? We're going to be advertising this interview on Parkbench, and they're going to get your contact info. But do you want to drop your number or anything on there for them to contact you, or your website?
Sure. I am available, still open here for business 7 days a week. My number is 403-919-3336. Also available through my website, NIR Home Inspections, on the contact tab also as well. And again, same time you can also text me through my phone. I'm available also every different way, and here to serve.
Sounds good. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and looking forward to chatting with you again soon.
Take care. Have a great day.
Cheers. Bye-bye.